You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Bermondsey. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Nick and Neil's Barbershop. Would you like something for the weekend, sir? That's the intention of our new show. Neil and I are going to be reviewing the Millwall news of the week. And joining me with his clippers in his hand is Mr. Neil Fissler. How are you doing, Neil?
Yeah, not too bad, Nick. Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
That's his clippers.
You can't hear anything. I have actually just switched my hair clippers on.
I didn't expect that, listeners. I didn't know he had sound effects at that end of the line. Nice one. Yeah, something for the weekend, sir. I just want to mention, Neil, before we begin talking about the Millwall events of the week, I want to mention Nolu Clothing, who are one of the brands that are putting out polo shirts and caps with a line on it. It's quite a nice line, actually. I quite like their line, 1885. It's got like a 1970s style line on it, but they're actually doing a benefit T-shirt on their website, which is noonelikesus.co.uk, and it's in favour of the Lions Food Hub, which I think is a fantastic gesture on their part. It's a St George's Cross Millwall T-shirt, and profits from that will be benefiting the Food Hub, which we support on this show. So hats off to Nolu Clothing, I think, mate.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Anything that raises a few quid for Kelly and helps those people that are less fortunate than we are in our community to put some food on the table and have some food in the cupboard is pretty okay with me, and I'll definitely be buying one or two of them.
Yeah, their polos are nice, listeners, as well. Genuinely nice, you know. I mean, I'm not just saying that because we've got this Food Hub Association now, but I like the look of their gear. They do all sorts of stuff on their caps and hoodies. So it's noonelikes.co.uk. Good, easy website to remember. And on their front page is a Lions Food Hub flag T-shirt. It's 15 quid, and I think there's postage and packing, but that will benefit the Lions Food Hub. So well done, Nolu Clothing. Neil, it's been a busy little period of late. We're going to review some of the news. I was at the Den on Wednesday night for a 0-0 draw versus the Swedish side Hammarby. Interesting evening. I generally don't like friendlies, as you know, and I was enticed there by the lure and glamour of the press box by Aaron.
Matt, I've got to be honest. I'm in the same situation as you. I don't really like friendlies. They're just a means to an end. We've said on the shows, but there was something quite sexy about playing a Swedish team at home or a foreign team at home. It was something unusual. And I must admit, I did watch it on Millwall TV, and fair play to the club this year. They've seriously upped their game on that. I
was going to ask you, how did you find it? I've not had a chance to see it, the TV stream. Is it good? Is it professional looking? Good stuff?
Mate, it's very good. Max McClelland did a wonderful job. He had to host it and do the commentary.
Wow.
So he did everything pitch side pre-match, and they ran an interview, I think, with Jamie Shackleton. Yeah, but they could have done with a little bit of a translation underneath from Yorkshire into English. and put it up to the press box. But no, mate, and he managed to do that on its own. There was none of the I follow drama where they couldn't dial in, and
yeah,
it was really, really good. It's something that I was mentioning last season that I think needed to be done, because I follow was a disaster from start to finish. It was those generic adverts that were horrible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Half the time the commentary didn't work, or the picture was out of sync with the commentary, and it just wasn't very good. But to be fair, Millwall have invested in it, and it was absolutely superb. I highly recommend anybody that can't get to the Ipswich game to actually pay your £5 or your £10 or whatever they want, and
have a look.
Join the crew.
Good stuff. Well done, Millwall. I'm interested in that word invested, because I think I believe we're starting to see the benefits of investment. Obviously, there's the talk of the new training ground, which we've touched on a few times. Won't really go into that again, but you do get a sense with the players that are arriving, and we saw some of them Wednesday night, Neil, and even down to the details like the Mill TV and other bits and pieces, the website and all sorts of ways. You do at last, fingers crossed, get a bit of a sense that our club's dragging itself into the 21st century. Appreciating we're playing in a different football world now, and we've got to match it.
Yeah, I think there's still some ways to go. I think people are still moaning about the club shop online and the availability of kits, but I do think that's out of the club's hands because that's all to do with the supplier. And I did hear, I think the guy from Hummel was on the price of football. And he said that they ship everything from China in containers. So if it ain't coming up the Suez Canal on time, it ain't going to be a shop on time.
It's probably having its paperwork done at Harwich or Felixstowe or something like that as we speak.
But there is a lot of work to do. People were moaning about the catering the other night, but again, that's not Millwall. I think that's franchised out, isn't it? And I must admit, £3.50 for a bottle of Coke is a bit steep by anyone's.
Did I see £6.50 for a pint of beer there as well? I don't.
According to Hoff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drink at the football, so I don't know, and I maybe I'll do a price check next time I'm at the West Upper. But £6.50 for a pint, yeah, okay, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, I mean, I think as ever, catering at the Den seems to be a thing that is always a struggle, and I don't know why this should be so, because in the course of doing some of the Van Don League shows, Neil, been to a few places where I'm thinking of Ebbsfleet here. Where I was at a game during the colder months, and they've got van-based local caterers doing, I think it was German sausage in a roll with beer. German kind of theme. And I've seen ones, even the Punjab United have got curry and kingfisher selling off of a van. If there are reasons why things like that can't be done, then I don't know what those reasons are. We've got a bloody great car park that you'd think there should be retailers looking to sell on a match day, working out the van. But we don't seem to get it, and I don't quite understand why.
We talked about it last season, didn't we? And it is all about the fan experience now. And let's face it, to get in and around or around the ground, there's nothing anymore, is there? Okay, there's a Greg's up the road, and
but wow, I mean, there's a cafe,
but for anything quality, you just can't get it, and it's a pain to get into. It's a pain to get out of, and you would have thought that a facility such as a couple of food trucks would go down quite well. But hopefully it's something that the club will look into and will get on board.
I hope so, because we certainly on our shows, Neil. I mean, we say the criticism is intended to be constructive, and it's not the biggest deal in the world. But I mean, the quality of I had a pie. I went to a game late last season, and I hadn't had a chance to get anything to eat as I came out, so I thought I'd have a pie at the ground, and it was pretty dry and incinerated, and it wasn't a great experience. But you do see other clubs, and especially smaller clubs, that are doing better, and there must be ways to make that happen. So the criticism is intended as a positive, because I think that would help a lot of fans on a match day to have a decent bite to eat and a decent beer in their hands before the game.
Achtung, Millwall.
Strange game, friendly football Wednesday night, Neil. I thought we looked, certainly in the first half, we have a kind of a mobility to us that I'm hoping will raise our standards a few notches when it comes to the real thing. But we look like we want to pass and move fast. The thing that bothered me on Wednesday, don't know what you made to the game, but we didn't create much in the way of goalmouth action, did we?
Mate, do you know what? I was just thinking then, when you started that, it reminded me of something that I saw when I was watching the game, and that is we've still got an alarming lack of creativity.
Yeah,
we really have.
Yeah.
I know that we've brought in some fantastic players. Okay, young Fleming obviously needs to settle down, but I think he's one or two things he did very well, but there's still not. I still think we're just a smidgen off.
I agree. Yeah.
That can do something this season, and it's not an awful lot. It is, we need a striker, or we need another striker. Either we get one in, a Premier League player on loan. I know we've been linked with Delap at Man City, haven't we? Anderson, is he Anderson at Newcastle? Played for Bristol Rovers last season.
Okay. I saw Dwight Gale being, but then I'm just looking, and someone said he's going to Stoke, so I don't know how much.
Stoke on a 2-year contract. He would have been a decent enough signing, actually, if we could have got him on our terms, as opposed to picking up the bulk of his 50k a week wages. But we definitely need just a little spark is needed, and I'm genuinely optimistic this season. Pre-season friendlies against Swedish clubs, you don't really worry about the result as long as they don't get turned over 4 or 5-0, which you kind of think, because
no, I mean Bart had to make a couple of smart saves, particularly in the second half. If from memory, I've got no notes on the game, listeners. So from memory, they got forwards a little bit in the second half, and I think he got down quite lively to one close range shot. I think. My impression of Millwall, both obviously a change in personnel for the second half, but we look very efficient and we look to pass the ball about and move about a lot, Neil. But it's that spark in front of goal that's going to be the thing. After the game, I was fortunate to get pitch side with Aaron, and did a brief interview with Gary Rowe, and he did seem to hint that he's seeing the same things as we are, in the sense that another signing may be imminent. Whether that's going to be loan or I imagine it will be, given the amount of money we've paid out this year. But it's reassuring, at least, that he also recognises we need a bit more oomph in front of goal, because that was the thing that was not apparent on Wednesday, nor from what I've read some of the other friendlies so far this season.
Yeah, I think if you have a look at the squad, we do lack something up front. Yeah, we know that Afobe and Bradshaw are going to pick up a couple of knocks this season. They'll be on the sideline. Mason Bennett has already had a quad strain, hasn't he? And
he looked quite hungry on Wednesday, I thought. But you're right, that you're kind of on the brink of waiting for the moment to come when he pulls up.
Yeah, Bennett is a great player. If he was injury free, he wouldn't be playing for Millwall. He'd probably be playing in the Premier League.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Very, very good player. But he's just made of glass, isn't he? That you just have to accept with him that he will get injured at least 2 or 3 times a season.
I caught myself after the game on Wednesday, because there's a bit of hanging around. You'll know from your own journalistic world, Neil. There's a lot of time hanging about waiting for people to be interviewed, isn't there, post game? So I'd wangled my way in with Aaron onto the pitch, and I'm standing around. And they after the match, the players came out with some dumbbells that are massive dumbbells. I mean, these you wouldn't pick them up in the gym, listeners. I wouldn't anyway. And they're doing these kind of leg exercises. And I caught myself at one moment, Mason Bennett was doing some kind of balancing exercises with 2 whopping great, 20k kind of dumbbells in his hands, balancing on one leg. And I caught myself staring at his bulging leg muscles. I thought, I mustn't be staring too openly, gulping at his ability to go on one leg with bulging leg muscles. So I managed to jerk my vision away into the far distance. There's a confession, Phil. Keep it between us, listeners.
Yeah, mate, you should have shouted over Mason. Yeah, but don't overdo it, son. We got a game on Saturday. Don't want you injured.
It was fascinating, because there was Ryan Leonard doing a kind of like a front sit up almost. It was like obviously working on his stomach muscles. I mean, I would not take this on in a million years, listeners, myself. My gym days are behind me. But it was quite a sight to see them post-match working out like that. It was an eye-opener, put it that way. Energy-wise, I thought we had a lot of energy in the game, and George Honeyman impressed me in terms of his willingness to. He seemed to be in the mix of everything that was happening in the middle of the park. Now, I think he's going to be quite an asset. I think he will be a fan favourite, as we said in the week.
I'll confidently make a prediction now. George Honeyman will be Player of the Year.
Well, okay, you hear it here first, listeners.
Yeah, no, well, I only know because I've read it on Hoff and they've already decided.
Well, it must be so then. Whoever posted that on Hoff, we're with you. We're with you. I thought it was very impressive.
Mate, he is a very, very good player.
Yeah.
However old O and Gary Rowett got him, mate, boys, you've done us absolutely proud with that one, because that is well, we all knew what a good signing it was, but now we're seeing him play.
Absolutely,
just showing what a fantastic signing he is, and what we're all thinking, letting him come to us.
Well, I think in fairness to the quality of the signings, I was literally just listening on Recast before Neil and I came online, listening to like a question and answer session with Charlie Cresswell. I haven't seen the one with Jamie Shackleton yet, but all of these players, and I'd include Zian Fleming actually, they all come across as fairly good, settled boys. You know, none of these players strike me as away with the fairies, stars type mentality. They all seem to be good, grounded, solid boys. I mean, I know we've only got the two Leeds boys for the season, but they do seem to be the type, like George Honeyman, that will fit in at Millwall. You know, give 100%ers. I was impressed. Yeah,
you can't have big time Charlies down at the Den. I don't think.
Take them, no.
Stand, isn't there? Let's face it, and enough of us doing podcasts. No, you've got to have. Yeah, we always say that you need a certain mentality to be a Millwall player, and it looks as if these lads are great guys. To be honest with you, that they'll fit in well and that they'll do well. Interestingly, with the Jamie Shackleton deal, I did see that Richard Cowley tweeted this morning that it is a loan with an option to buy.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's a trendy thing now in football. So
that's that. I mean, can we give Aldo credit for? Let's give Aldo some credit and some love. He takes all the heat when it doesn't work out. But that's a good deal, then, isn't it? That's a try before you buy, presuming it works out for us, and that's the kind of deal we want to see. So, hats off to Aldo and the recruitment team if that's the kind of deals that they're putting together now. So,
yeah, definitely, mate. Well, I've said on other shows that we've done that Aldo's really upped his game.
Yeah,
has come back almost like a different Aldo, if you like.
He's been to Stoke and he's seen the world.
Yeah, and our recruitment and the way that we're going about it this year has been absolutely fantastic, absolutely blinding. So hopefully we can get a scouting network in place, because I do think that there's great untapped of non-league players and players in the lower divisions that you can pick up bargains, and you can we can do the money ball with. You can buy players early, develop them, and then sell them on at a profit at some stage.
I imagine that's the intention behind Zian Fleming. A very, very level-headed boy, actually. Again, they were interviewing him, and Aaron spoke to him briefly after the game. Very polite, very well spoken. His English is impeccable, and you think, just we've done well to bring players of that quality, because what I thought, although he didn't show huge amounts on Wednesday, he's still very much feeling his way through. But as Ryan said, sat next to me, he actually hasn't given the ball away. He didn't make a mistake in his performance, and that's normally a big sign, isn't it, of a quality player.
Yeah, it's pre-season is difficult because you're there to get your fitness up. And you know that you're only going to play 45, 50, 55 minutes, something like that. So So there's not an awful lot you can do in the game.
You don't want to get injured, Neil, either. I mean, there was a moment, you saw it, but almost a minute in, I think Jake Cooper got involved in a Jake Cooper tussle for the ball. It wasn't a corner, it was a free kick, and went down. I thought, here we go. We've got 1 minute into a meaningless pre-season workout, and we've got one of our main men out. But he seemed to recover quite well. But avoiding injury is as much part of the pre-season program as it is to get your fitness up, isn't it?
Yeah, I think anybody that saw the Colchester game last Friday would have seen Jake Cooper make a Jake Cooper challenge on one of their players.
Did you see? There was a quote. It was, I don't know if I've lifted it from either News at Den or London News Online. I apologise. I didn't note which website I've nicked this from. But it's a quote from Jake, and I think it comes back to what you've just said there. Jake says, "I love it at the football club at Millwall. He loves it at Millwall. I enjoy being around all the lads. We've got the staff, the chairman, Steve Kavanagh, Alex Aldridge. I've got great relationships all the way through the club, and I've just decided to keep going to try and achieve something with this football club that means so much to me." I think the question might have been about him, his ambitions within the game to move on, because he's clearly a player that other clubs would covet. But he loves it at Millwall, and he says so. And I think that's I think the crowd understand that there is a relationship with these players. Sean Hutchinson, I'd say the same as well. I know football's is a world where loyalties can be transient, but that's great to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is, especially when I think he was linked with Glasgow Rangers, wasn't he, 2 or 3 years ago, and we turned down the bid. And he is a proper Millwall type player, isn't he? He's the kind of player that 110% every time he steps out on the pitch, and wears his heart on his sleeve. Yeah, and there's obviously a connection there. And we always say horses for courses, don't we? And Jake Cooper is a Millwall type player. And I know we talk about legends, and it's a much overused word, but you can almost see that he's a trainee legend.
He's on course. He's on the road, isn't he? Yeah.
If he spends the rest of his career at this football club, or at our football club, he's going to be remembered in much the same way as Robbo. Yeah,
similar kind of player in that way. Yeah, I agree.
110%. Tony Craig, is another player that reminds me of 110%.
We love those kinds of players. I mean, I had to laugh. You talk about the Colchester game where I think Gary Rowett pulled him up for I think he described it as he expects a little bit more professional attitude to his tackles. I think he went a little bit harshly on the Colchester.
In the first minute, wasn't it?
Put him on the floor.
It was awful. I think if it was proper football, a proper game, it was undoubtedly a red card, because the Colchester Wokerati.
Is there a Colchester Wokerati? There must be.
They were incredulous when they saw this, and I think still be on the pitch. It was a proper full-blooded, absolutely
wonderful. I haven't got the quote from Gary Rowett, but it was words to the effect of he expects his players to be professional. Minute 1 of the third friendly of the season at the Colchester Community Stadium, and Jake's put him on the floor. It reminds me of one of the first things I ever heard at the old Den, Neil, when the old boy shouted in fury. I think it might have been, wasn't Harry Cripps, it would have been on some lesser breed in his world. It might have been Dennis Burnett, actually. Don't shake his hands, hit him. It comes from that kind of. If you're going to hurt him, hurt him.
Achtung, Millwall.
No One Likes Us Clothing is the clothing range designed by Millwall fans for Millwall fans. Caps, t-shirts, polos, they've got it all. Visit noonelikes.us.co.uk for the full range. Or if you're in Bermondsey on a match day, why not have a pint in the Blue Anchor pub and pick up a Nolu polo shirt, Nolu clothing at www.noonelikes.us.co.uk.
Achtung, Millwall.
A couple of other bits. I've just lifted some of the main stories from the websites, listeners. Tyler Bury was. We're still waiting, I think, to see some of the best. He scored a good goal, didn't he? At was that at Dartford? He put one in from distance. Didn't really see too much of him, and I don't remember anything of any great note on Wednesday. But he does rather carry the cross of creativity, the creativity cross at the Millwall now that we've lost Judas Jed.
Yep.
I had to use that. I just love that line. Neil slipped that in the other show we did. I don't really think you're Judas Jed. I always liked.
I do. Yeah, no, I read somewhere. I think it was London News Online today that options of significant game time could be limited for him.
Yeah,
because there is a player there, and there is a very, very good player there. We haven't got enough creativity, so we can't be afford to be sending out our most creative
player, and the player that can do the unusual. I mean, we saw the hint of that with Zian Fleming against Crystal Palace, wasn't it, where he scored the shot from distance. And Tyler is another creative player. It's the eternal dilemma, and I mean, we will know that Gary Rowett favours a more all-round approach and functionality to his football. But I think obviously you do want some creativity, but trying to find creative players that will fit nicely into Rowett's side is not going to be easy. Only Jed really was probably trusted to be a first choice pick, Neil, because Jed would do the work side as well as the creative side, and I think that's going to have to be the key for anyone that aspires to take on his mantle going forward.
I wonder if they've ever thought about playing Tyler Bury up front.
Well, wasn't that one of the? I mean, one of the friendlies. I don't know which one, listeners. So apologies. But they were trying to play in a more of a central role, which is like the eternal move they were trying to make with Jed, wasn't it? Trying to bring him in from the wing and playing more down the middle. And they're trying to do that with Tyler. I guess.
I'm not sure when it would work in our formation, would it? 3-5 or 5, however many he has in midfield.
Well, the thing is, and you're right, the thing that we lacked on Wednesday night was creativity. Tyler is our most creative player, so there we have it. But I think I was just reading this quote here. He's talking about it was good to get on the score sheet versus Dartford, I think that wasn't it. I'm very good. This is Tyler speaking. I'm very good coming inside on my right foot. So as soon as I hit the ball, I knew it was going in. He says it's useful to play in different positions, but at the same time, he has a preferred position. So that's kind of like a message, I think, to say, play me where I'm at my best rather than, shoehorn me into a position that I don't really feel comfortable with.
I don't think his best position will fit in with the way that our formation we set up.
No, I fear you're right. We'll see. We'll see how this little drama works out. But it will be a shame to see Tyler move on. I think also Gary Rowett looks for consistency of performance, and I think as ever with the creatives, they're ephemeral, aren't they? They come and they go, and then you'll get a good performance, and they'll come back 2 or 3 games later and produce another good one. Whereas managers want predictability in that sense. We shall see. A few other bits of news here. I was interested to see, actually, we've got the new away kit announced this week. We'll come back to that if we may, Neil. But modelling said away kit was Danny Mack, with all of his, QPR bidding war. Their low bids increasing by £1.50 each time. It was interesting to see the club using Danny Mack as the lead model for the away kit. It does imply that a deal may be close. Would Millwall have used him, do you think, if we weren't expecting him to sign for the season or sign any contract?
To be fair, we don't know when those pictures were done. Those pictures could have been 2 or 3 months ago. Yeah,
that's true.
So you never know. But then again, it has happened before, hasn't it? Other clubs have used their star names, and I guess that Mr. Ronaldo features heavily in Manchester United's marketing campaign this summer, and he's made it evidently clear that he doesn't see his future at the club. So we wouldn't be the first team to fall into that trap, would we?
No, we wouldn't. That's true.
Hope that all this sabre rattling from QPR, and they've either got to get real or fuck off, really.
Well, they need to make, if they really want him, and if Mill are thinking seriously of allowing him to go, and that their ability to influence that depends on the contract that they're offering and where that fits in their wage framework, then you're right. I mean, QPR have got to either raise their game or as you rightly put it, fuck off. I mean, also from the Millwall perspective, and we've made this point before, I think, Neil, that we mustn't be sentimental as a fan base. We have to be, if we want to progress as a football club, then you have to, not kill your darlings. You've got to sell your darlings at some point, but for the right price. That's going to be the thing.
Absolutely, exactly. Every player's got a price, and it would seem that Danny McNamara's got a price. But
QPR aren't offering it seems. But
no,
if
QPR are probably offering a tenth of what we value him at. And if QPR do offer the money, as we've said before, and we've said many times before, we do hang on to players for too long. So I think it's either QPR have got to offer a decent amount of money, or they go away and we just sit down with the player's agent, whoever that might be, and say, right,
here's the deal.
Yeah. It's a strange one because he is a Millwall fan. I know that most of our fans do get really dewy-eyed and quite sentimental about such things. But I think you've got to look upon this in a cold light of day, and that's that every player's got a price. He will have his price, and if we get £5 million for him, good luck.
Well, I would have thought the price must be in the millions. I mean, who knows how much credence to give to some of these figures you see banded around on the social media, but £300,000 was reputedly what QPR were offering, and then it was raised to 350 or something. I mean, that's this. You can laugh that out of court because that's Danny Mac. If he has his price, but it's got to be in the £1 million zone, not the hundreds of thousands of zone. So we wait to see. But I was struck by the fact he was modelling the new yellow and black 1988 throwback kit. It's quite a nice ensemble. Neil, did you see it? Are you a kit fan?
No, and you're not unless a fit woman wearing them.
The Venezia, I don't know. There's the Venezia FC in Italy have some Italian beauties sailing down a gondola wearing this shirt. I think if that's the way to do it, we'd have to launch it from Deptford Creek or somewhere, wouldn't we?
It looks all right, to be honest. I don't like the thick red flashes in the splashes that go across.
Yeah, they've got like it's a just to describe it. Can I describe it? I suppose it's a yellow, similar to the First Division days. We had a same kind of
where they put a stripe through,
diagonal stripe.
Yeah, plenty of them, but I don't like that. If it was just yellow and blue, it would be a great nod to a fantastic kit and one that's quite rightly remembered.
Yeah.
As a lovely away kit. I do wish we went back to playing in white.
I always like white as the kit I was brought up with. I think, I mean, some people collect kits. Some people get. I mean, there's loads of accounts on Twitter where people make up kits and things. Imaginary kits, all sorts of stuff. I don't. That doesn't interest me to that level. But
we're about 5 years too old.
I think maybe that's what you've hit the nail on the head there, Neil. I think you're right. Let's move along. It's nice enough kit anyway. And apparently there's a red and black kit to come at some stage. We'll wait to see on that score. Some news from Richard Corley, London News Online. Alex Mitchell, defender, set for another loan exit, having previously been on loan at Leyton Orient last season. we do seem to be, you know, we have a surplus of central defenders, and Alex does seem to be. It has a kind of feel of a loan that probably will turn into a permanent move, Neil, don't you think?
I'm not sure with this one. How old is he? 20? 20. So, like Isaac Alafe, I think you're looking at it's reaching make or break stage.
Now or never for both, I think. Yeah.
Definitely is. If you can't keep on loaning these players out. Alafe, I'd be more entitled to keep Alafe around for the first 6 months of the season.
He was unlucky with his penalty. It was a really fiercely struck penalty, and it hit the post, which is a marginal thing. Didn't see much of him. Was it the 83rd minute he came in the game, Neil? And he looked busy, but without anything decisive for me. Can't really judge on what I saw Wednesday with Isaac.
I think in Colchester the other night he came on and he took a little bit of time to get into the game, but then did all right when he came on. Don't forget this season now you can use 5 subs and you can have 7 on the bench. So I'd quite like to keep him around, give him some minutes, play him in the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called.
Stick him into those. Yeah, I agree.
And see what he's like for Millwall, because he's 23, 24.
Well, he's at that crossroads period. We've said it with Alex Mitchell to some extent, but he's Tanto, I think, is his nickname. He's at that crossroads point, isn't he? Like to see him be successful, but that's the romantic in me, wanting to see one of our players make it. We'll see.
Clubs actually have a player on their books at 23, 24, and they're going to loan him out for experience. It seems as if they loaned him to a conference club, then they loaned him to the same club when they got promoted to League 2.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Loaned him out to League 1 last season. And you can't keep on doing it step by step. At some stage, it's got to be either sink or swim time.
Yeah, I think I think he's fast approaching that point. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Isaac Alofi Tanto. I want him to succeed, but we will see.
Achtung, Millwall.
Now, Neil, next on our little makeshift agenda list, we're going to try and do this as a regular thing. This is Nick and Neil's something for the weekend. We're going to do like a preview. We've got the Ipswich game looming, so we've hung it on that slightly. But next on our agenda is this story, this picture, I think there's a video. I haven't seen the video. I've seen 1 or 2 stills, I presume, from it, of guy wearing a Millwall shirt at, is it Rangers versus West Ham friendly up in Scotland, Neil?
Yeah, it was on Tuesday, Wednesday night.
He's wearing a Millwall shirt, doing a kind of an Adolf Hitler Nazi salute with holding his fingers to make a makeshift moustache, doing a Nazi salute. I presume to West Ham fans that are up there. Some things defy words, really. I don't actually know what to say. I mean, stupidity is the only one that leaps into my head at the moment. But you wanted to say a few things yourself, Neil, about the incident. Yeah,
it's the kind of thing that you used to do in the school playground when you were 5 or 6 in the 70s, when that kind of thing was acceptable. Yeah. Let's not make too many bones about it. I'm not woke. I'm not a snowflake. I'm not PC. But no. I was absolutely lost for words when I saw this, because here is a guy who took off a Stone Island sweatshirt to reveal a Millwall away shirt, I think it was.
White one, wasn't it? Yeah.
From last season or the season before or whenever it was. And then he proceeds to stand up, or he made his Hitler salute, and then to West Ham fans. What an absolute fucking idiot. Yeah.
And just to say, this is not a kid, listeners. We're not talking about an immature 17-year-old. He was in our age bracket, Neil. Was he? He looked 40, 50? I'm doing myself a favour there. But
grown, grade A muppet. Yeah. okay, if you're going to wear a Millwall shirt, it could have been that he was wearing a Millwall shirt to wind up West Ham fans. It's done. I don't agree with it, but hey,
people do that.
Yeah, they do. But I've also read that he was a Millwall fan based in Edinburgh. Yeah, you know what these. Yeah, we know it's like social media.
Yeah.
Things like that. If somebody knew him, they would have said they'd seen, but nobody seems to have ever seen him at the game or at a game. I wouldn't encourage violence, but if somebody does see him at a game, give him a fucking slap.
Might have to delete that.
No, mate. Seriously, leave it in. He deserves a slap because what this does.
It's very destructive. I mean, we're a club that doesn't need much bad publicity for it. I mean, the signest incident at our club, Neil, as you and I know, and listeners know.
I was going to make, Nick. Yeah. There are people. You looked. We played. Yeah. Well, we played Dulwich Hamlet the other night, and somebody posted something from one of their message boards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to know about Dulwich Hamlet. They are the wokest club.
They're the leaders of the non-league. What should we call the activist kind of scene that exists on
of football.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on there. He was a Cardiff fan who'd become a Dulwich Hamlet fan. Yeah, what's that out? Yeah,
I'm lost on that, but yeah.
He said, "I don't particularly want to know any Millwall fans. I don't want anyone around me." And incidents like this just add fuel to the fire of people knocking our club. Yeah. And there are enough people knocking our club at the best times. Yeah.
It gives easy ammunition. I mean, we had
Millwall is amplified times 10. Yeah. Anything that happens anywhere else worse, well, it seems to go away after about 24 hours, doesn't it? But at Millwall, it lasts for 2 or 3 days. And to have this muppet stand up and do something as stupid as that, especially when everybody has mobile phones these days.
It's that ability to give it a disproportionate amount of airtime because everyone films it and they stick it on social media, and it plays into the very. It's the point you've just made with this Cardiff Dulwich fan. People want to believe this, and when they get it, it's like fueling a fire, isn't it? Throwing petrol onto gasoline on the flames, as the song says. You know?
The fact that this muppet was wearing a Millwall shirt, but it must have been like Christmas 6 months early too.
It's been taken as that. I mean, I've only seen stills from it, and I've seen some of the reaction, and I thought I can't be bothered to read this anymore because it is so rankly stupid, and it just plays into the hands of those that want to knock our club, and it gives easy ammunition to those that want to shoot us. So, no, I'm with you 100%. I wasn't going to mention it, listeners, because sometimes when you do these shows, you think, oh, do you need the grief? And a lot of people have this thing, Millwall and Rangers have some link, which I've always struggled with, incidentally, a different subject. But we have no particular linkage with Glasgow Rangers. If we have any links at all, from what I've read in my reading of the Scots links, it comes more from Dundee. And I think Morton's was an Aberdeen-based football firm.
I think it's all to do with unionism and
Ulster. Well, that's an unattractive thing for me.
Kinds of things I'm not really interested in, to be honest. Yeah.
So he's gone along to Rangers. I don't know what he's thinking, but I prefer it if you didn't do it, mate. If you're listening to this show,
if you are listening to this show, yeah.
What they say on? Said it again.
And you will deserve that. No, sorry. This has to stay into this show, yeah? This guy deserves
I was going to say, unfollow me now, you know. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave Neil's bit in. Oh, dear. Anyway, to raise the tone of the conversation, to conclude this first edition of Something for the Weekend, sir, I had to laugh. Woke is one word, I suppose. We've never got a deal going with the turmeric company, Neil. Have you seen this? We have an official turmeric partner, Millwall Football Club. Oh, this is not the Millwall. I can't imagine back in 1972 standing on the halfway line with the likes of Kitch and Harry and Alfie Woods up front that we'd ever have a turmeric partner. But we do have a turmeric company now, founded by Hal Robson Carnu. It's vegan shots, turmeric, ginger, raw turmeric, and beetroot. My wife will be loving all this stuff, but it's not the Millwall I know, mate.
Mate, it's definitely it's not the Millwall I know either. And I did notice that we actually had a ready-made meal partner.
We do
as well. And well, I had a look on it, as you do. And it's all this quinoa. It's all the kind of stuff that you're into, Nick. And it's all the healthy option. I guess it's just the way that football's gone now. Turmeric was something that used to have with rice to turn it.
It's got like a bright yellow tone to it, turmeric. I mean, it's an ingredient in Indian cookery. But anyway, I mean, it made me laugh. Having had that incinerated nuclear glowing chicken pie that I had last year at the den, there wasn't much turmeric knocking around there, listeners. I can tell you that much. Turmeric
and quinoa. Somewhat rather no, to be honest, that'd be a step too.
I love this bit as well. They are the company, the turmeric company. Give them a shout. They're a bronze LED partner. I take that to mean the level of coverage you get on our LED screen around the side of the ground. They're a bronze partner. That means there must be silver and gold ones. Is there a platinum one? A diamond one? I don't know.
Yeah, but a bronze part. A bronze part. Does that mean that they pay in packets of fruit pasta? But it's just the way that modern football is now, isn't it? You have different.
Oh dear.
You have different levels of partners, and I guess that this is the.
We've got a vegan shot partners now, listeners. There we are. Not the Millwall that we know, Neil Fissler.
Something like we were talking about online before we came on air. Actually, we haven't mentioned it yet, but we're playing Ipswich tomorrow. There's going to be a new program available.
Yes, there is.
Fully independent program produced by Chris Bethel, well-known historian. Supplied all the pictures for my book. Program collector, font of all knowledge if you need to see what a badge from 1940 something looked like. Chris has got it all in his collection, and he's bringing out a program to replace the matchday program that we lamented the end of on a show, I think, a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I saw Chris Wednesday night with my press pass listeners that I'm going to dine out on for a long time. Got into the press office, and the Chris was there, so I got talking to him about it. It's hats off, Neil, to him for producing this. There's a lot of work involved in producing a program. It's one of those things that's rather like fanzines back when I used to do it. People can take it for granted. It's part of the match day theatre, and it's just there. But there's a lot of work that goes into produce a good match day program. And I said to him, well done, because I think there's more work in it than I think maybe Chris anticipated. So it's a big commitment, 23 league games plus friendlies plus cup ties. So I know a little bit of how much work's involved in doing a fanzine. There's a lot more work doing a match day program because you're committed to a deadline that you aren't with an unofficial product. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Hats off to him. He was saying how we've produced a program, and obviously the team sheets back in the old days for a very long time in our history, and to see it just fade away is, I'll take my hat off to those that do stuff. So well done, Chris Bethel, for getting this together. Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I think the first Millwall program, I think Chris put something on something or other that goes back to the 1890s or something.
Yeah, he mentions a date like that, and it goes back a long way.
And to be fair, the other night, I don't know if they did team sheets outside the ground. It would have been quite nice to have known who the opposition players were, because a lot of them we wouldn't have heard of.
No, I don't know. I mean, I got a team sheet. But that's whether that's just run off for the journalists. So I presume it was. I don't, whether people entering the ground, if there's no program, you should be given a team sheet. That's probably going to cost money as well. So they may or may not do that. I don't know. But it is quite nice to see, especially with the foreign names and the players you haven't heard of, and, interchanging during the course of the game. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the new season brings forward. But no, a good point. It was going to be £1, I think, an edition. So it deserves support, listeners. If you do see it, buy one for £1. It's got to be worth it. And if they don't sell it, it dies. That's the lesson of life, isn't it? So it deserves support.
You're absolutely. Yeah, but they could have just accepted that we weren't going to do programs anymore. But there is a collector's market for it, and people have got programs going back donkeys, and so whether obviously is a market for it. I think they're producing 500 a game. 500.
I really hope those 500 sell, because that's a big. We were just talking again off air, Neil, about how numbers of fanzines. Now, the fanzine is not a program, so people will buy a program. They may not necessarily buy a fanzine, but 500 is a fairly ambitious figure to produce, and you don't want unsold programs, because that's just dead money. And so if you do see one, listeners, it's only £1, and let's shift those 500. Let's get it going. And I'll take my hat off to Chris, as we've said already. If you don't support it, it goes away. So
there'll probably be more programs and people there tomorrow, I'd have thought.
Yeah, there weren't many at the game. I mean, one stand was open, the Barry Kitchen, on Wednesday night. I'm not going to go tomorrow. I can't make it. I've got stuff to do tomorrow. But I'm really looking forward to the following week, Stoke City. That apparently, although it's going to be a rail strike that day, but I think the club are expecting.
Now, apparently, they're
out. Yeah.
Somebody posted something on Hoff the other day, and a screenshot of the availability in various areas of the ground, and an awful lot of them was only limited availability. But that says that's hopefully we can keep it going, because John Berylson has backed the manager this summer and has spent an awful lot of money, and it would be good if we backed John Berylson in a...
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Because it is embarrassing. Sometimes you go down there, and obviously, yeah, it is expensive. But 9,000, you're not going to be able to sign quality players and push on for those kind of crowds and the kind of people or the kind of numbers that turn up, particularly for night games.
Absolutely, fill the den, as the hashtag has it. I agree absolutely with what Neil said there. Huge thank you to Neil. I think we've exhausted our agenda. Do let me know whether you enjoyed something for the weekend, sir. I love the title. I'm going to keep it, whether you like it or not, listeners. I'm going to keep it. And we'll be back with another edition ahead of the start of the 22-23 season next week. So goodbye from me. Goodbye from Neil.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening.
You have been listening to Achtung Millwall. Please do leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Danke schon. Up the lines.